with, like just everybody's testing what they want to know.
So I see that you tweaked the outline again a bit.
Yep.
Too slow at any point is new at the top.
Go to the, everybody go to my Facebook wall.
Okay.
Barb, go to my Facebook wall.
I'm going to open another browser to do Facebook again.
Okay, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah. Because I have, okay.
Okay.
Ship criteria.
What time and money, maintenance, spiritual, emotional, and physical areas, concern people, great strength, efficiency, resilience, already present.
Barb, do you see that? Barb, do you see what she's reading? Go to my Facebook wall, Barb, and look there.
I'm there.
Okay, you see what she's reading? Ross, read it so we can understand what you're saying, because it's like you're like reading it to yourself, and you're on a. Do you know you're on a movie?
Right.
Ross, Ross, wait, stop. You are in a movie.
Okay.
This is a movie. You're a movie star.
Ooh.
I know.
So you need to talk.
People stop me to speak.
Speak to your audience. Speak to.
Security membership criteria. Enough time and money.
Your team got talent.
Self-maintenance in spiritual, emotional, and physical areas. Wants to help people. Great strength, consistency, resilience already present. Continuous community participation. Already enjoys playing on a team. Gets herself on the Q team and starts there no matter what. Uh-oh.
So, Barb,
Yes.
do you see it? You see?
I was listening to it and I see it. Yeah, I have your
See what
wall.
she's reading? Now, see, we could say that, I mean, you could come in here and say, well, I need to not be on the cure team anymore because I don't have enough time and money.
Mm-hmm.
You could do that, but you haven't. Therefore, we conclude that you have enough time and money to be on the cure team.
I do.
So that's the real criteria is in the heart of the person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I'll tell you something that von Clausewitz said. He said that that most people, when they think about a battle in a war, and they think about like the enemy overrunning the person's defenses and totally destroying his position. But generally, he said, this is not the way battles go. A battle is a kind of slow, it's a series of slow disturbances in the equilibrium between the two sides in the battle. And at some point, one of the commanders decides that he's lost. And so he abandons the field. And in Bernard Cornwell's novels, you see this happening again and again. And in the story Malcolm Gladwell told about Chancellorsville, did you listen to that talk?
Which one was it?
Really, Chess?
I put this on my Facebook wall. It was Malcolm Gladwell, and he was talking about overconfidence. And I believe that you suffer from overconfidence. I think it's one of your immune dysfunctions.
Me?
Yeah, that you continuously, like get creamed because you were overconfident.
Uh-huh.
And
Well,
then
can it be both? It's just...
So, yeah, well, I go
it's
up
just
and down.
over and
like,
over.
they could both exist simultaneously. You could be overconfident in ways that you need to be, clear, and then you could be underconfident where you need to go, and be more confident. Thank you, Greg. Thank you. That was very good. I appreciate that. That was very, very good perspective you just gave us.
Well, that's because the issue there, it's like with me with duty or escape.
That's very, very well said, and you have both of these things running simultaneously. You know, you're too dutiful and too escapey, you know, at the same
And
time.
it makes,
Very good. Very, very good.
so it's not normal. That's the function has sides to it.
Yeah, they seem like opposites, and yet they're both running at the exact same time in you. That's
Because it's the same thing that happened. It's the same thing in me. It's just, it's different behaviors of that.
Yep. This is interesting, and you know, in fact, you can have 3 or 4 or 5 of these immune dysfunctions that all seem to contradict each other, all in play at the same time, in the same interaction. God, we should do one of these topic days on, you know, one of these topic meetings that we do on Tuesday on the immune dysfunctions. But anyway, I was talking with Barb this morning, and I mentioned that I had an idea for a topic, you know, a topic meeting for next Tuesday. And the topic is leading with the right body. And Barb said she would be interested in that. How many of you would like to come to that?
Me.
Raise your hands.
Okay. And Nellie, you're invited to these too if you want to come.
Yeah, no.
They're at 12:30 my time on Tuesday. So this coming Tuesday will be at 12:30 my time. And if you miss it, you can watch the movie. And I also use these to embed in pages. So I'm going to embed this in the bodies page. Franny, take note. Yep. Now, if you scroll down my Facebook wall a little more, you will also see that I have streamlined the donations page. And you can see it right there. It's just a couple of items down. So you should just take a peek.
These got simplified.
That's simplified. Yeah, it's way more simple than it was. It's way more simple than it was. It has 3 options for donation, and 2 of them are kit options, and then 1 is just the monthly with no kit. And so now it's going to be much easier for you if you're standing in a shopping mall with somebody and you're both on your smartphones and you've exchanged numbers and got the person on Twitter and you're telling the person to sign up for the web college, and you can just, and he says, okay, you know, and you say, go in there and pick one, and there's 3 options there. So it's going to be very easy for him. Like, he doesn't have to say, oh, let me think about, you know, I'll have to really think about, I should read something about the books, you know. Just tell him you need the books and get one of the kit options and leave it at that, you know. But anyway, it's simple, it's easy to see and easy to sign up for now.
Uh-huh.
So, Franny and I really worked on this when we spent days on this, reworking that page. And the other page is like that too, so we've got everything consistent. Franny did it all, she's brilliant, she just, you know, like checked everything 3 times and changed everything that had to be changed so it all agrees, and they're not going to find something else on some other page, you know. So, okay, so that being said, do any of you feel like you have some ideas for criteria for the cure team?
Good question. Because the other day after Max was at our Monday meeting, and then we had a meeting on Friday or something, and I said it was the cure team. He said, how come I was invited? He was really mad. He was like, how come I wasn't there? I said, well, you're not even in the web college yet. But that was just the first thing that came out of my mouth.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was very good. I think the outline is having an effect on you, Barb.
Yeah, maybe.
you're starting to see first things first and then the next thing and the next thing.
Right.
Very good. Very well said.
And same with Jasmine. So maybe that would be at least a prerequisite to have, be confident with working on the college.
Remember the thing I wrote, and you said that's kind of sad, where I said if you have to break both her legs, get her in the Twitter feed?
No, that wasn't the one I was referring to, actually.
What were you referring to?
I was referring to something you said about me about something. I can't remember. I'll extend it to something about that you said about me.
Okay, well, whatever, but I mean, it was under the Jasmine thing, but see...
Okay, but anyway, Twitter feed is good, too, but those are prerequisites.
I want to do a little thing with you here. I'm just going to spend a minute with you. Let's pretend that you really, 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 really worked on your vision index. Okay?
Vision?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your vision particle attribute. And I'll tell you how to do it, by the way. I realized, because I'm listening to another book by this social scientist named Ariely, Dan Ariely.
Yeah, Ariel, A-R-I-E-L.
No, it's Ariely.
Okay.
And he cites all these studies,
Uh-huh.
And the name of the book is Predictably Irrational, because people are irrational. They behave People do not behave rationally.
True.
And so Dan Ariely is writing this thing, and he's saying how if you talk about something, you then are affected by it, and it puts you in a mindset, and later you will make decisions based on that mindset with something that's completely unrelated to what you were talking about. So, for example, let's say you talk to Nancy, and Nancy says you have a lousy business plan. Now test, will that strengthen or weaken my vision attribute? Having her say that. Does that strengthen me or weaken me?
Well, short term it weakened me, but in the long term it actually strengthens me, I think.
Okay.
It's me looking at it, at least.
Okay, so your responses to other people are extremely complex.
Yeah.
Like it does both, Now, here's Jordina. Let's say you spend an hour with Jordina wandering around Santa Fe, whatever you guys do. And at the end of it, does that strengthen or weaken your vision index?
That's another one that actually, it strengthens it, actually. Makes helps me remember who I am, at least.
Okay.
But,
So you can strengthen your vision index simply by letting in almost any other influence.
yes.
As long as it's not like crazy negative or something, it'll get you thinking. You're with somebody, it gets you thinking.
Yeah.
And you start to see things you didn't see before, and like when Ron was telling me that he couldn't be on the Cure team, he actually blew my vision index out of the water. I mean, it went sky high because I suddenly understood that I have to, what I've been doing is I'm trying to identify people who are good for the Cure team. And if we can identify people who are good for the Cure team, then we can increase the Cure team.
Yeah.
Because what we have to do is eliminate everybody who isn't good for the Cure team. And actually Max might be good for the Cure team if he ever got going with this. Because, he's got time and money, and, for a lot of other reasons, he may be very strong internally, he may be a very strong person. That I don't know, but, some things you just have to have the person on the Cure team, and then you find out he wasn't strong, he flaked.
Right.
So he was weak, but you can't know that usually beforehand. There's certain of those things you can't know beforehand. But anyway, one of the things that you could do to raise your vision index is listen to lectures by other people than me or these movies that we make.
Okay.
For example, you know, the Malcolm Gladwell thing about overconfidence,
Yeah.
where he talks about Chancellorsville. And in this thing, that's what happened at Chancellorsville. That, like Hooker was overconfident. And all of a sudden, these rebels came out of the forest, like screaming the rebel yell. And the Union soldiers, like, whatever Hooker believed about his troops just wasn't true.
Right.
You know, they just ran. They threw their rifles down and they ran away.
Uh-huh.
It was a rout. They didn't have to kill them. And I was reading one of Bernard Cornwell's novels, and I don't remember. I think that this was the battle with Hooker, you know, in fact, I just don't remember that much about the book. I'm going to have to go read them again. And by the way, Greg, you told me you were getting me the last book in that series.
That's the one that I put on order.
Yeah, so I'm just reminding you about it again.
Waiting to hear from I can check again.
Because I'm like really anxious to get that last book in that series.
It's not in the library. They had to. It's okay. Got it.
But I mean, Hooker was an idiot. You know, the way Bernard Cornwell portrayed him in the book was really funny. He was a very nice guy, and his troops loved him. He was totally sweet, you know, and he really cared about his troops. But in terms of being a strategist or a general, forget it, you know. So this is what happens, is you simply, like, there's a place where the person just lays down. You know, they choose to fold. You know, they choose to collapse. It's exactly what happens in these battles. It's the same thing that happens inside people. You know, people decide that they can't do it. They can't make it. See, and you seem to continuously decide that you have enough time and money to be on the cure team. You know, in the face of all the evidence to the contrary or whatever. And this is what wins battles. And this is how the rebels won that battle. Like, they chose to win it. This is what Cornwell writes about this again and again, that really winning is largely a matter of choice. And this is the thing that this book, the title of this book I've been talking about all this time, is Great by Choice.
No.
Then that is what it is. When you are great because you choose to be great. Not because you were it's not an intrinsic quality. It's a choice you make. And making this choice is very, very complicated. You know, and so there's so many things that you have to learn and change and do and be. So that's why the Cure Team is this continuous kind of training ground. And you know, when these companies that he writes about in Good to Great beat the general market by 10 times. He calls them 10x companies. Because they outperformed the general market in their field by 10 times. And one of them was Southwest Airlines.
Huh. I know how they do it.
How do they do it?
I mean, I've flown them a couple times, and they definitely are different than other airlines. They're just managed differently. They're really into service, and they have this really funny thing they do when you're on the plane. They kind of, they're also very gay. They're gay friendly. They're very. They sing when they sing that, have that little announcement about your seatbelt and stuff. Like they sing it or rap it or.
Right.
Funny stuff. Yeah. They give their staff a lot of.
Not the individuals. They're not.
Yeah, they give the staff a lot of freedom to.
There was this one woman on a holiday that I flew who she demonstrated backflips holding on to the partition. You know, she said, "Well, I've got a trick to show you," and she kept saying, "Well, I'll show it to you later." But then she finally did it.
Yeah.
And they combined with AirTran, and I flew on AirTran, and it wasn't the same.
Yeah.
Well, now, the CEO of Southwest, here's what he said about Southwest Airlines. He said it was a carbon copy of another airline. He did not invent, he said, I didn't invent anything. He said, all I did, the other airline was Pacific Southwest. That went out of business.
Right.
And they went out of business because they didn't consistently apply their approach. So if you go back to the outline again and you look at what it says, I now changed the title, okay? So go read the title. Somebody read the title out loud to me.
New contact outline. Your SMAC, standard methodologies applied consistently. Recipe for global cure. So it's consistently applied, standard method we're doing here.
Now the idea of this is that what we're trying to do with the outline is create something that we can do with everyone. And we never omit anything from it, and we do it with every single person that we ever talk to about the, about curing things. And if you notice, there isn't much that has actually changed since we first did it. What's been happening is we've been adding things to it. So like if you look at, for example, if you look at part one is pretty much the same as it was, pretty much the first day we put the outline out. And it's the same because that was something we really knew that we did that most of the time, and we did it over and over again, and we knew that it worked, and we knew to do it. If you get into part two, this is where we kept making decisions. We had all these, should I ask the person to sign up for the web college, or should I ask him to get on Twitter, and so forth. And Barb, to go back to what we were talking about, let's say that you take Jasmine and you spend 3 hours getting signals, accessing, and so on. She still doesn't sign up for the web college, not on Twitter, nothing, okay? What body were you leading with?
Mental or physical?
Yes, thank you. That's very good. You seem to know that stuff pretty well. That's
I
right.
feel it in my body. By the end, my body doesn't feel good.
That's right. You were actually leading with your physical body. That's right. Now, suppose Jasmine, gets in touch with you. She says, "Hey, listen, could we meet? I got a few questions." And you meet with her, and you say, "Okay, first of all, before I talk about anything else, I have an assignment. You're gonna do this. I'll do this with you, and we're gonna go to Twitter." And she says, "Oh, I don't have an account." You go, "Well, okay, well, call me back when you have an account. I'll be here. So just call. Set up your account and call me back. Make sure you upload your picture." And so Jasmine, calls you back with an account, and then you say, "Okay, now follow, Cure Drive." Okay, great. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to go to Cure Drive, and I want you to read the first 100 tweets. Cure Drive has like 2,000 tweets. Okay? So read the first 100 tweets, and then call me back. So now, she reads, a whole bunch of tweets and calls you back. And you say, "Did those tweets cause you to think of anything or ask any questions?" And she goes, "Yeah," and she has a few things she thought of and a few questions she asked. And you say, "Okay, now go back, find the tweet, and write that under the tweet as a response to the person." Now you're going to write responses to these people. And I want you to write a response to me and each person who got quoted in this thing. And so she's like, you know, balking and struggling and whatever. And finally you say, okay, now your getting answers to your questions from me is going to be contingent on two things. And one of them is I want to see you for the next day or two interacting in this Twitter feed. I want to see what you can learn from that before I go back to answering questions, okay? So that's your program. Now, so she actually starts doing this. Let's say she starts doing this and she's interacting and learning. Now, what bodies are you leading with?
Like celestial and maybe karmic. I don't know. Maybe celestial body, maybe.
Greg, what bodies is she leading with?
Gravitational, maybe. I don't know.
Ross, what bodies is she leading with?
The higher bodies.
There's 12 bodies, name 2 bodies.
Celestial and gravitational.
And
Or
test
celestial and spiral.
that. Is she leading with her spiral body?
Is she leading with her spiral body? No. Is she leading with her celestial body? No. Is she leading with her gravitational body? No. Is she leading with her etheric body? Etheric.
Okay.
I guess etheric.
One more.
And then is she leading with her astral body, karmic body, emotional body, mental body, mental. I guess etheric and mental.
You know, it's funny. Nobody tested any of the universal bodies.
I mean, I was thinking of the universal bodies myself right there.
Yeah, because when I saw this, I immediately saw that you would be leading with your 3 universal bodies. And that when you get when somebody's in the Twitter feed and they're your person, you're leading with your universal bodies.
It seems like that what the care team is, the universal bodies.
Yeah, and it's the highest level of caring, too.
Yeah.
Highest level of caring is you don't give a fuck, right, Greg?
The highest level of caring is you're allowing everybody to help your person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're detached. It's detached caring. And you're watching her and you're seeing she isn't quite getting what she needs, and that's okay with you. You know, because ultimately she's going to get more this way, so you're okay with it being a little not, you know, perfect.
Yeah.
It can be imperfect. And then she'll surprise you, and she'll all of a sudden she'll have this fantastic insight, you know, from something that seemed imperfect to you. Now, I put this to Ross. What would it be like for you to get a call from Franny saying that there's no more Cure Drive, no more Cure Team, there's no more money to do it? It's over. Greg got killed. He was, you know, he was in a...
I surely would traumatize myself.
But I was asking Barb, like, how would you feel?
I don't believe that.
Excuse me.
What effect would that have on you?
Well, I don't know. Sometimes I'm concerned. Like today, I feel so good, but like sometimes I think to myself, I don't know. Like I almost prepare for that, or I think I'm going to be the one to just say, okay, you know, Barb's not here. Not that the thing's not going to happen, but I think I would. I sort of experimented with it. I think I'd feel a real loss. I feel a loss of you know, my base or my stability or something. I feel like something was missing.
Well, see, now, here's the thing, okay? I've been trying for quite a while to help you learn how to make money with this, like how to make a living by doing this.
Yeah.
Now, do you understand now that the Cure Drive and Cure Team and the college and all these things, that you can't make money without these things doing this?
Yeah, I see that.
That-
I mean, you know.
So I've set up a business. Now, you were talking, the other night we were talking, and one of the things you said is that you were like a branch office. And you didn't like that too much, like you wanted to be the main office, you know?
No, I didn't. I was just saying that I'm a satellite office. I didn't say I wanted to be in the main office.
Well, see, okay, but here's the thing I just want to point out. Like, see, actually right now, you're not up to the level of being a branch office.
I'm just a person.
You're just a person. But
Yeah.
what you need to do is get to the branch office level, and then beyond that to the level of being an independent ministry that is affiliated with the Cure Drive.
I see.
Because that's how all churches work. That, you know, you can be part of this church, you know, at some point, like a branch office, and that would be better than what you've got now. But where you really want to go is where you have a board, you have your own board of directors and your own offices, you know, maybe a brick and mortar building, I mean, whatever, you know. It doesn't have to be run out of the house, but it can be, you know. This is the kind of thing that can be done like that. And my vision for this meeting, for the Cure Team, is that the Cure Team is made up of 9 people who each have their own Cure Team of 9 people.
Good idea.
So that's like 81 people, and sometimes we may all meet together and we make movies for each other, and we're always in communication, and the 81 people are on the Twitter feed and all that good stuff. But that, you know, when I was in the New York Center, when we had our BHA, I would go up on the balcony, and there was a meeting of Conco up there, and there'd be like 12 people talking about building the New York Center.
Right.
That was what they were focused on. And all these teams were focused on different things. I'd go down to the name tag table, I mean the enrollment table, and there were like, 8 phones on the table, and there'd be, 3 or 4 people sitting around the table, and they'd be talking about getting a registration, and I'd go spend some time with them and train them, and so on. And I'd go back to the house department, and the house manager was back there managing her 3 or 4 assistants. They were cooking and making dinner, and I'd go down back there, and I'd, maybe come up with another dish to have for dinner or something, and it was fun. And the thing that you had all of these independent teams all focused on completely different things. They were all in the same loft, but they were in different worlds, really. And they were totally self-generating and self-starting, and they would show up. Like Conco, these guys would show up at 7 in the morning to meet before they went to their regular jobs.
Yeah, I remember.
They'd have like an hour and a half meeting before they went to their regular jobs. And that's what I want. And to have that, I need to have good people, who are capable of doing that. Not everybody's the people that were assisting me, not everybody was capable of doing that stuff that they did. And they loved it. I mean, I remember there was a woman, I was at one of the courses, and I went over, and there was this beautiful girl. She was one of the girls who came down we had a bunch of people who used to come down from Yale, the college, to do the courses or assist at them. And she was one of the Yaleys. She's standing over by the bulletin board, which took up an entire wall. And I went over and I said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And she said, "Well, I'm just standing here waiting for somebody to come over to read one of these sheets, because I'm going to stand here with the person when they read the sheet and make sure they complete reading the sheet. That's what I do. Like that's my post here at this course." And that's how we, did things. we had this kind of smack recipe that we did over and over and over again. And that's the reason why when we had 20 people in the course, at the end of the course, we had 18 people in the intensive who had signed up over the weekend of the course. Because we just were like focused on this. And we, like, there was this girl who just, all she did was get people to read the sheet. You know? There's nothing more to it. She'd say, did you finish it? And she'd ask him a few questions about it. You know, she didn't have to enroll the person. Somebody else would probably do that. And we used to, on the breaks, we'd have people walk around and whisper in people's ears. Remember that, Barb?
Yes.
You know, they'd whisper.
We remember we had the Manhattan Project. Never did I know I lived right an hour away from where it was.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Created.
That's right.
Remember that?
Yep. So the thing is that what I'm trying to do here is give you something that you can use to actually earn your living and make a very good living and buy a home of your own and an SUV and all the things that you need in Santa Fe. You know? Mm-hmm. And you can live where you want and all. And that's what I want to do. I did it before and I want to do it again. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, suppose you got this call and you were told Greg's gone, he was our only source of money, and he's dead, so there's no more cure to him. And what would happen is, it really doesn't matter what your emotional reaction would be. The fact is, you got cheated. See, because I'm not supposed to be enrolling your people for you, or providing you with leads, or anything else. I'm not supposed to be doing any of that stuff for you. You're supposed to generate your end of it yourself.
You know, you have to know that.
But I am supposed to generate my end of it. And if I don't generate my end of it, then I cheated you. And this is why I suddenly realized about a week ago that Greg needs an insurance policy. So that if something happens to him, this thing doesn't die. Mm-hmm. And that's something that's also in this book. And it's called Staying Above the Death Line. Because, see, there's a death line that people skate on.
Yeah.
And I need to not skate on the death line. And see, I think you've been observing this whole time.
I have. Even when we were in the old business, I had to have everybody get insurance policy on you for a while. I didn't even know that, but you did.
Yep. Well, obviously, there's no amount of insurance that could ever cover my contribution to this.
I know.
So also, you know what Franny said the other day? Franny and Greg were talking about what do we do about Byard, and she said he can't die. You see, Byard can't die. He can't take any risks. He's got to live a very safe life. And that's right. Like that, my responsibility, my obligation is to keep myself safe. And see, what I realized is, my danger, remember we were talking about the particle attribute danger?
Yeah, I had the high one too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, Greg and me, we both were way too high in the danger attribute, we discovered. In this conversation that we had with Franny the other day, it wasn't like part of the thing we did where we were talking about the attributes, but later that made a difference. That was important. Mm-hmm. So, look, if you don't do anything with this, that's your business. But my job is to provide it for you. And I will be failing you if I fail to do that. And this is a very hard thing, because it isn't like my job is I'm not a Walmart employee, My job isn't punching the clock at 9 a.m. I mean, I have to actually provide this for you. And I really failed you. I mean, I have to say, because you didn't have this outline for 20 years. You know, like, let me talk with Greg for a minute, okay? You know, we have had like incredible luck. By the way, you should lower your camera a bit. We have had amazing good luck, and part of that luck is that we have each other.
Yes.
And part of my luck is I have you. And one of the things this book talks about is what return you get on your luck. And my problem is that I think all of us have the same problem, because we're all amazing manifestors. The thing is that we don't get a lot out of what we manifest. That's the problem.
Yeah, and we manifest feeling great.
Yeah, we
and a good life.
Yeah, we manifest having a good life.
We're all sort of healthy and wealthy of spirit.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And because had I given you the ability to, like, I'm trying to now give you the ability to interact with people in a methodical manner. You know, in a specifically methodical manner, and so that like I don't know if you remember this, but many years after, you know, Chuck Mospata, the guy who's HIV, he's the first person we ever cured of HIV, and he called you years later, and you know, you talked for a while, and it was fun to talk to him, and he asked you a few questions. I don't know exactly what happened, but that was that. We never spoke to him again. Had you had this outline, and a cure team, and a cure drive, and all the things that you now have, and been shown how to use them effectively, that call could have been an enormous piece of good luck.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, how we used to have graduate participation.
Yep.
We have something now, we can call people, contact them, and have a context for conversation and to go further. And yeah, definitely with him at the time. Actually, I did call him. You know, I was checking up on him.
Uh-huh.
And but, you know, where do you go with that?
That's what we used to do. We used to check up on people, and we didn't know how, like, see, one of the things is that we understand now that people have to participate actively with other people in this for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
And that is, and if they don't do that, they will get far less out of it than if they do.
I have to take this call for a minute. I'll be right back.
All right, well then I will go. I will put Ross up on here, on the big screen.
Okay.
You know, that's what we have to. That's what we understand. That people have to actively participate for the rest of their lives. Now, you're looking at the outline now. Can you see the outline?
No, but I'll be there in a second.
Okay, because that's where you get the Twitter feed thing. You know.
Sure.
What happened with now? You finally, you and I were with a guy in India. His name's Gulu.
Yes.
You and I were with Gulu for half an hour. I didn't get anything that I wanted to use in a movie, so I just erased what we did. But then you got him to test afterwards.
Yeah.
He started testing. Does he know he's getting a signal?
Yes, he didn't have a signal all the time on everything. I tested for him, but he's starting having a finger twitch on some of the things.
Barb?
And I told him to practice the signal, to keep asking questions,
Okay.
and to subscribe to Twitter and start tweeting.
Okay. That was good. Now, then that's where you left it.
Yes, and then I wrote to him a private message reminding him to subscribe to Twitter.
Okay. Now, Barb, does Max know that he's getting signals now?
I don't know. I don't think he's confident with his signals now.
Has he been getting any signals?
He's had signals when he's been around me, and I thought he got them that day, but I haven't seen him that much. Just saw him briefly yesterday.
Okay,
I don't know.
so where you are with Max is in part 1 of the outline.
Yeah, he's pretty much.
That's where you are. You're in part 1 of the outline.
Uh-huh.
And Ross, where you are with Gulu is basically you're in part 2 of the outline. You're trying
Yes.
to get him on Twitter now.
Yeah.
And, you may have to go back to part 1 for a few minutes. Like, let's say you decide to talk to him again. You may have to go back to part 1, but then go on to, and this time, don't get off the call till he's on Twitter.
Okay.
He does it with you,
Yeah, okay.
and then he reads 100 tweets.
100. Yeah, sure.
Or 50 or 20 or whatever you want.
Yeah.
30.
Get started.
Whatever. Pick a number. You'll come up with an optimal number.
Okay.
Now, see, I can add what I'm saying now to the outline. We're not actually changing the outline. What we're basically doing is discovering things to add to the outline. Like when you're when you're with somebody, getting them on Twitter, actually have them read 30 tweets and then write to some of the people, like respond with some tweets. So they're actually started tweeting to somebody besides you.
Yeah. And communicating, that's important.
You're trying to lead with your universal bodies rather than with your physical body.
Yes.
Now, if you think that you spent too much time with somebody, then don't spend the time with them. If you want to spend the time, spend it. If you don't, don't. You can look for somebody who's quicker. Somebody who starts getting signals immediately and then already has a Twitter account and clicks follow right away and writes a couple of things, without without too much prompting, and the whole thing took 15 minutes. And then you do the rest of the outline. You could just look around for somebody else like that. You don't have to stay with somebody who's slow.
Yeah, sure.
But I thought Gulu is a very nice person, by the way. I like him. And
Yes.
and I thought it was really nice that you decided to spend your time with him.
Yes, I was glad to do it. I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a problem.
Well, and also it seems like you had some success. Yeah?
Yes?
Something I want to say to you, like, there's a communication skill. Like, you need to boost your communication skill.
Okay.
It's actually by the way, a particle attribute as well as a function. And one thing that would help you is just to say more. Like, don't let me have the last word. You have the last word.
Okay.
Even if it's just okay or yeah or whatever, just always remember to say something after the other person finishes talking.
Okay.
Even if it's just agreeing or whatever, and give a lot of that kind of encouragement, affirmation, just like let people know you hear them.
Okay. I'm raising my communication skill to the maximum now. Okay.
That's good.
And I will keep doing.
That's good. That's very good. Greg, are you back with us?
I am.
So see, all I was saying to you is that having you in my life was an incredible good piece of incredible luck. And if you were to get killed, the loss would be absolutely crippling. Even if you have a $100,000 insurance policy, it would be crippling. There are so many things that you do that nobody else does.
Well, I think it's that our energies, we buoy each other up. That just having, you know, like Barb having you with me and everybody here means so much, and it makes me a better person. And it makes me more able to do anything. It's just, you know, that's one of my things. I've been here alone so much in this room and in this place here that I have to stay in contact. But okay, but I thank you. I hear you. I'm going on a bit myself.
Yeah, you know, I have to say, I genuinely enjoy tweeting with people.
No.
I feel like I'm connected with Ross, and you know, and I mean, Ross is in Italy, but you know, I tweet with her every day, you know, and I feel connected to you, Ross. It's nice.
Yes, it's nice. It's very nice.
There you go. That's the way to communicate. Good. Good one.
Wrap it back at him, I finish.
Now again, come on. Don't let me have the last word here.
Yeah, that's right. It's true. Get out by here. Let me speak.
You'll think of some new ones, you know. As
We'll
we
teach you some American things like that goes double for me, or like he said.
Yeah, right. There you go, right.
You can say true that. That works too.
True that, Barb. True that.
I'll teach you some new ones, Ross.
So the point is here, what we're getting is that you can spend as much time as you want on each part of the outline, and you can actually take weeks doing the outline with somebody. You just have to know where you are in the outline, or you're not doing the outline anymore. Like, where are you with Max in the outline, Barb?
I would say I'm still up at getting consistent signals, and then, I mean, now you got me thinking about my 9 people who I would have on my local care team, but I think I'm pretty much, you know, I was surprised the other day when he was saying that he's not confident with signals, because I thought,
I think, you know, I think that you maybe misunderstood me, because I don't think cure teams will ever be local. I don't think you can find enough good people in any city. I think that you might have maybe one person sitting there with you who's on the cure team who comes over to do it with you in the same room, but that the other, I mean, one of them's going to be in Australia, and one's going to be in the USSR, and one will be in the Ukraine, and another one will be in Britain, and you know, and that's what you're going to have. Okay, it's going to be a Skype thing. It's going to be like, you know, 9 people on Skype, and hopefully you'll have enough money to buy a camera to film your meetings.
Hey, you know something, but I realized that when I was coaching Jane Holfinger, I did the same thing. I did the thing in stages. Until she did one part, she couldn't really do the next part. It's true of anything with anybody, I guess.
What were you coaching her in?
She wanted to work at Milton Glazer's.
Oh, did she get a job there finally?
She got a job. Well, first she became, what do you call it?
Apprentice. Intern.
Apprentice. Because she was in George's class. And then she, after she finished that, I told her to take David out to lunch. So she took him out to lunch. And then when we needed somebody, he said, well, what was that? What's the name of that woman who did that? And then, I mean, the whole thing was very funny. I mean, he was like looking at me and he was joking around. But anyway, they used her on Walter Bernard. It was upstairs in a different section, but it was Milton's company with Walter Bernard. So, but she did really well.
Yeah. You're a good coach, Bruno. You're a good coach.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to like it's like what Ross always says, you have to break it down into chunks, because if you don't get one thing, it's kind of hard to get the final result.
Well, that's true. We have to understand, all of us have to understand, that we are trying to get something from people. Now, maybe you want to right now go to the list of interests.
All right.
And let's look at that for a moment, okay? What you see on the list of interests is that and I guess I've lost my copy of it.
Train of thought.
No, I lost my list of interests.
My brother used to say, all your cars were empty anyway. So.
If you notice, there's giving and getting, right? We've been doing a lot of giving and not enough getting. You with me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we need to balance that. We need to get things from people or determine that the person cannot give us those things. And once we've determined that, then we need to go find someone who can to get those things.
Yeah, that's right. Giving and getting should be balanced, always.
Mm-hmm. We are not functional as a cure team. See, it says here the functioning area. And I'm going to tell you something. If you don't get support and empowerment as well as giving, then you're not going to be creating beauty or growing spiritually or having a family or expressing your love. No, you're not going to be able to do any of those things. You have to get to be able to do those things. Which another way of talking about getting is talking about accepting. Like taking the things from people. And you may have to ask for them or require them. But still, you're still going to have to accept them. So I want us to get up here to the functioning area. And right now, I think that where we've been is down here in the removal of pain and hurt health area. You know, well, I'll say about Nell, you know, like when I see your tweets, and like most of your tweets are about like managing your health and, you know, not hurting so much and, you know, feeling better and so on. And I'm going to need to see you rise up on this scale of interests. By the way, Nell, I made a movie about it. So if you go to the scale of interest, you'll find a movie there, and you can, you know, watch that and learn more about it, okay? And also, Barb, by the way, you see this operating area where it says like trading?
Trading?
Yeah. Now, remember in this thing I did with you with Jasmine, that you actually said to her, I'm not going to answer your questions. We're going to do this other thing first. So you're trading with her. You get it? Mm-hmm. Like that may just be the level that you have to deal with her on right now. May just be the level of trading. She has to get into the web college, which means she's got to pay something. And if she doesn't want to do that, then you need to pull back. Not spend your time with her, find somebody else.
Right.
See? So, and, so if you choose, now if you choose to spend a lot of time with somebody, it's going to really be more of a choice now. It's not going to be what you think I want you to do, like keep the person talking or whatever, okay?
Yep.
It's going to be like, this is a person you've decided I should spend time. Oh, she signed up for the web college, so I should certainly give her a few pointers.
Right.
Okay, so that's right, I think that's right. Or she didn't sign up for the web college, I'm going to go talk to somebody else. And you need to know, nobody's going to get mad at you for that. We're going to laud you and applaud you for doing that. Okay? So trading is important, You have to deal with the areas below. Like, obviously, Nell has to have her health, and she has to not be in pain and take care of herself so that she can come up on this list of interests and then get interested in other things.
Oh, yeah.
You have to come up, get above there. Okay. Now, Franny, I don't have on camera, but I'll talk to you for a moment anyway, my dear. You have at least 2 functions I've noticed that have all kinds of things wrong with them. Impaired, missing, whatever. And they are empathy and communication. I don't know, Ross, if you've noticed this about Franny.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, there's like, and I don't, it's weird because sometimes Franny is telepathic. She reads people's minds. And at the same time, she can be extremely lacking in empathy in just basics, everyday situations. And also,
Well, I know I've been a lack of empathy for Greg, I suppose. I mean, I can see it.
okay, so there's a place where you can discover it. And also with communicating, I have seen you, scream for 2 hours before you finally got to the thing you wanted to say.
That's true.
And you never said it until when you finally said it, you'd calm down.
I don't think I know it until the final.
That's a problem with communicating.
I know.
Like you need to learn to communicate in a way that brings it out rather than all the shouting and all the other stuff.
Well, I know one of the things I do is that I start shouting to start a fire, and then I can sort of interact with somebody about what it is.
Well, one thing also, like when you're talking to your father, for
Yeah.
example, and you're trying to show him how to do something on the computer, you need to know, for example, when to stop and just say, look, we're not going to do this now because you're not getting it. And I'll just do it with you when I come down or something like that. I don't have to.
Well, actually, I have been doing more of that, and he's caught on too because I learned it from him, So the last time I was there, a long weekend, we really came to the points which were dangerous, and we told each other that we weren't going to go by those points, So we got wise to ourselves.
Yeah. Mike, I also see another dysfunction with communication is that you will, complete a meeting and, you will have talked about the things that were the purpose of the meeting and you feel worse. And you want to keep the meeting going, and you used to have 6-hour meetings when you were in A-Strat. It was just totally inappropriate. You needed 45-minute meetings and to stop. You don't know when to stop talking.
Well, it wasn't me who was talking; it was the other guy.
Well, yes, the chairperson needs to know when to say, okay, we have another 5 minutes.
I wasn't the chairperson.
Well, you
the
need
problem of having a paid staff?
Yeah, we had lots of time to chat. time when we were with, you were talking about her the other day who died of cancer in,
Let's not reminisce, okay?
well, we had a meeting
Suzanne.
before, we had a therapy session that must have been like 5 hours long, and we ate this big box of chocolates at the end.
We paid for it.
Everybody said, where's the chocolate?
Are you talking about Jackie?
Yeah. It was really intense. It was very intense. And I bought this heart-shaped box of chocolates.
No wonder she died of cancer.
I know.
For friends like you. Right?
She said that she killed herself she was on a macrobiotic diet, and then she ate a box of Oreo cookies.
Oh, God.
And she got deathly ill from it.
That'll do it.
Yep.
Death by chocolate.
And Darren, they did the same to Darren. They brought her all this terrible food.
Oh God. Well, this is looking really good. Like I'm just about complete with the meeting. I'm wondering about, you know, if anybody's seen any other criteria for Cure Team membership than what's on this list.
No, I thought about it, but it seems complete to me that maybe later something will pop into my mind. But right now, no.
So I'm pretty, you know, I'm pretty inclusive with this, huh?
Yes? Yes, sir.
Yeah, you think I hit it? Hit the nail on the head?
Yep.
Because there are things in here. I mean, Ross could say she doesn't have enough time and money, or Barb. Let me ask you something. Do you enjoy playing on a team?
Yeah, I've always been on teams. I mean, I picked individuals by sports, like tennis and stuff, but prior to that, I was on teams. But actually, you know, it's funny, I was thinking about the teams I was on as a kid. Always had one, like, superstar player. Like, it was so good that we, you know, kind of was like the way you are. Like, we just kind of, like, focused on the superstar, and we always won. So, but yeah, I mean, I like having a team. I mean, it seems like once this meeting's over, you know, like I'm kind of on my own for the week for the most part, besides tweeting. But I've enjoyed being on teams. I've always had a group my whole life, a gang of some sort.
Well, see, the idea here is that you're going to, and you can call me and talk about it, and you should also tweet about it, but what you want to do, if you have people in place such as Jasmine and Max, you want to know where you are in the outline and then go do the work. Like, go to Max and do the next part of the outline, like, which is probably getting him, see, even though he may not be getting the best signals on Earth, maybe it's time to just get him into the Twitter feed and have him read the feed.
Right.
Yeah, that's...
You know, he wanted to come to the Cure Team meeting. Well, the Twitter feed is up there. He wants to be in that universal bodies exchange.
Right.
So get him into it.
Great. I'll see him today.
So that's what you do. You just look at all these people. Like, where are you with, let's say, Nancy with running the outline?
Probably back at square zero.
Because Nancy is a big, you know, potential contributor.
Yeah.
And somebody who is also in your life, so it's easy to run the outline with her because she's there.
Right.
So you can just sit down and say, okay, now we're going to do this. And also, by the way, speaking of Cure Team activities, I'd be happy to meet with you and Nancy someday at 12:30 my time, and you know, like do a movie with her.
Yeah, and that woman Anna would be good too.
Sure. Sure.
Okay.
So we can be a team for real, you know.
Mm-hmm. And Rob. Yeah.
Robbie would be great. Yeah, that's a sign. I never think about Robbie, but he would be wonderful.
And there's a lot of people in this town that are great.
Yeah. Go run the outline with Bruce Poster.
Right.
You're always talking about like these great old people that you'd like to see come back, you know. So go run the outline with him.
David Garcia. Yeah.
Knock on the person's door and, you know, run the outline.
Okay. All right. I should study my outline again.
You're not really on your own ever because you have the outline. And if you call and talk to me, the outline will develop further and it will be better.
Yeah. Mm.
And I will provide you with what you need. That's what I want to do. Now, what I'd like to do now is I'd like everybody right now to tweet what you have learned today. Just, you know, and don't combine things in a tweet. Write one tweet with one thing in it, okay? And talk about only that thing in the tweet and then write another tweet about another thing. Like don't put more than one thing in a tweet. Barb, you do this all the time, like you put 3 or 4 things in a tweet.
Yeah, I know.
Just put one thing in a tweet.
That when you cure something specifically, usually, or you go to the hub, but at the same time you also cure other things without even knowing it. It's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a bargain at the supermarket, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You pay for 2, but you get more.
Well, I also thought, you know, I'm reading what Barb wrote about wanting to demystify immunics. And, like, how do you do that, Barb?
You do immunics. It's got to be every day. Stuff
That's right. If you do it with somebody, it isn't mysterious anymore, is it?
I just use it every day. I just use it in public and stop trying to. Yeah, I think I've just been.
You do it in front of people.
Yeah.
Just let them see you doing it.
Yeah.
Or when they do it, it's not a mystery. It may still be a mystery when they see you doing it, but when they do it, it's not a mystery.
Sometimes people feel silly, they don't trust their signals or they're misunderstanding. Yeah.
Well, Russ, I'm glad you're on those 2 functions with Franny and you can help her with them. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't notice because I don't know, maybe wrong, but when we were together, Franny is not lacking, in my opinion, I can be wrong, but she's not lacking those 2 functions. So I was wondering, is it possible that you miss some functions with certain people and you have them with other people?
Uh-huh.
Well, Ross, you may not notice it, but I have to really manage my way of talking to you to not digress and not defend myself.
Okay.
I mean, I can feel that I want to do that at any given moment, but I choose not to. I did some 8 sessions with Keely, and she kind of like tried to stamp that out, you know.
Okay.
But we do pretty, I mean, I think with certain people like you, I'm more able to get to the point. And I've also, with you, I've also thought about what I want to work on, or the things that we have worked on. I've thought about them all week, and sometimes I even make notes about it.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps with the communication, because I don't
Yeah.
have to take so long to figure out what the heck I want to talk about.
Now I noticed,
Sure.
now I'm not seeing any tweets from Nell or Greg yet.
Oh, yeah.
writing.
Oh, Greg.
I had to put you on mute.
Open the bell, Nathan.
Let's see what you learn now. Tweet now. Now I want to actually read your tweet now. And if you tweet,
Well, you're a naughty, naughty girl.
if you tweet later, I can't do that.
How do you get them?
Write what you learned.
Well, I do that. I do the same thing. Like, really, it's great to think about things before you talk to a person. Like, really working it out. You have to. I suppose you have to fact find sometimes, but you know, what does it get distilled down to? It's really important to know that.
Yeah.
You can see that, you know, when I talk to you and Greg, with myself, I want to do that. And when you catch me unawares, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, that is really important. Barb is saying, careful what you wish for, you might get it, all right?
Yeah.
Somebody's asking me if you can use Immunix on the stock market. Yes.
Of course.
But I know, I tested before I knew this either.
Yeah.
Gotta watch
Well-
the future predictions, though, because
Yeah.
those don't always turn out.
Well, they're talking about on the stock market, and they don't understand Immunix. They're not in touch with
Yeah,
what
you're right.
you go
That's
through
right.
and how to be Immunic and use your and
That's
use
right.
anything.
What
That's
a way
right.
to prove us wrong.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
that could be costly.
here's an interesting thing I'm noticing, that all these tweets came in about 5 minutes, and now we're back to talking again. And I think that's the way Twitter is. It's very, very useful that way. It's something that we can express ourselves really quickly and easily, and then we can go with that and learn from it. And the tweet that you sent is a record of what we were thinking. Like Franny wrote about, her communication and empathy functions. And so she can refer to that again if she forgets what she's supposed to be working on.
Well, I'm also taking notes.
Well, please write more tweets.
I'm writing another one now.
Greg? Thank you for saying the things you've said. I think I'm going to call the meeting in a moment. This seems like we've done a lot, and it's good. I really like what we've done. I'm getting a feeling like we're like more on the same page, on today.
I think we've all settled down, and for me, I was telling Ross earlier, I like being normal.
Mm-hmm.
I like being just with everything, and I don't need the excitation that disconnects me from that.
Right.
Reality inspired chase. Yeah, it's like those prayers about wanting nothing. I think it's sinking in.
Yeah.
Yeah, all
Sheesh.
somebody's.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, even in the past, with what we were doing about letting go, that people think they have to give up what they're wanting. It's not that you give it up, it's that you let go or remove wanting it, because then you have the field to actually create it.
The less you want, the more you get what you want.
That's right. And I don't know if it was Bob who said this or whatever, but you know, like wanting something is just creating the idea and the lack that you don't,
Yes.
you know, you don't have what you want.
Yeah. But at the same time, to unswitch, we say our one.
Well, yeah,
To
because
get in touch with
you
our
want to
deeper
be conscious, you know.
Yes.
Kind of,
And it works, my God. It works like crazy.
did you do that with Gulu?
No, I didn't. Not yet.
Just
You know that very often it happened to me, saying my want for a few days, I get what I want.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible.
Well, there is also the aspect of your mantra, like what somebody said, you know, like the more you say something, the more it's going to be, you know, that's why you don't want to say things that you don't want, because you don't want your
Yes.
mantra to be about being sad or something.
Yeah, absolutely not.
The thing you repeat.
Because you get that.
That's right.
I've had really different feelings lately. Sheesh.
You have to answer, Barb. Nothing to do. You have to answer.
Yeah, I was texting. But I just feel like lately, I just feel like last night we had the biggest storm, I think, in Santa Fe history. And it's ever since I've been here for sure.
Gosh.
Yeah, like just downpour, like lightning and thunder, like for a long time.
Wow.
For Santa Fe standards. And even though all the power went out again, like this whole building was dark. It was really cool. The whole downtown was dark. But I've been having like a lot of experiences about like everything looks new every day. And it's hard to remember like where I am or what city or what, you know, like what dimension I'm on. And the same with the cure team. Like where do you, like there's so many options. How do you, what choices do you make every day and where do you put your energy? James Seymour Fondo follows Mark Siegel of the Philadelphia Daily News. There you go. We're 1 degree of separation. Jane knows Mark and Keely knows Mark. And I know Jane. But yeah, it's been a really surreal experience lately. I just feel like I kind of have to just sit here because it's all come with some kind of a hug myself. Right here.
The
Nice.
friend of my Facebook friend is a friend of mine. The enemy of my enemies is my friend. Wait a minute, you know?
And they're probably also your Facebook friends.
They're probably all my Facebook. Most of
A
my don't.
dysfunction of my friend of Greg is a dysfunction of mine.
I don't know if I get that.
You know, I have
But you
to-
are very similar.
I have to say that,
They're all connected.
like what Franny wrote here, I'm really taking, you know, it's really good, because what she's saying is that the information on the iCollege is enabling us to like do better as a cure team, because you know we're understanding ourselves in terms of the interests, or our interests, or our particle nature, or our functions, or our immune dysfunctions, and we're getting explanations for our mistakes and understanding our strong points, and it makes us much more able to operate.
That's true.
We're just a lot more able to operate because of that.
True, true.
Well, all right. Then I will see everybody on Tuesday
Okay.
at 12:30. We'll be a meeting. So this has been wonderful. I'm so thankful that you're all in my life, and I know that if I think of anything else, I'll be able to talk to you in 10 minutes
Okay.
via Twitter.
Ciao. Hasta la vista.
Let's
Ciao.
before we go, let's just link our etheric bodies.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Let's link our chakras. All right, now I'm ready.
Nice.
Thank you, Barb.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Rod.